Um, it's 4:31, so we got pretty close to it.
We did.
Roll call, let the minutes note that all of our board members are present. Item 3, we need to adopt the agenda. This special meeting, so this is the only thing we can do, is what's on this agenda. So I need a motion to adopt.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda. Second.
Okay, all in favor? Item 4 is our mask mandate discussion. So this is what we're here for. Miss Carrie?
So we're here this evening to discuss the masking protocols for Rockcastle County schools. As you all know, our county is experiencing a spike right now in COVID positive cases and number of people both either positive or in quarantine. So we're here today to discuss the options that you all would like to implement for our schools moving forward.
I guess the best thing to do is just open discussion. I personally, and I hate to single out anybody, I'd really like to hear from you, Miss Angie. You're a medical professional that is here, and I'd kind of like your input.
Okay. So to be honest, have been on the fence about this, and I always tell my heart, and I tell what I know as far as a medical provider. I had to think about it all weekend, and I know it's not a popular opinion to go back into masks, but I think to me, I support it. I think it's the right thing to do right now. Doesn't mean we have to do it forever. We're seeing a real big spike in cases in our little community, and as everybody knows, we're seeing a lot of death in our little community. Not kids, but it affects everybody. I got some numbers today from my infectious disease people. Our positivity rate is 171%. Rockcastle County. Surrounding counties are higher. I think Madison was about 242. That's high. That's a lot. We have had at our Rockcastle County Regional Hospital 7 deaths related to COVID since 12/23, 5 within the last week.
But wait, since December 23rd, okay.
And that may not sound like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but for our hospital,
a small community,
that's a
huge
lot.
number.
That's a lot.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Sure.
Can you explain 171 positivity rate? Like how does that calculated?
So I'm not 100% sure you know that answer.
It is per positives per 100,000.
Okay. Okay, so it's not one. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I guess it's the amount of people.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know the exact number that we've had positive in the county as far as, straight numbers.
Right.
I don't know how many, you're probably going to allude to this later about how many employees you have positive. I know we have about 40 employees at the hospital that are positive. And it's not just that. I think we all know that masks are not the best thing, but they're about the only thing we have right now. We have vaccinated to the point that people choose to. That's something we can't make happen, and that's okay. It's a personal opinion and preference. But masks are our next thing. People are getting sick from this. I've chosen to mask myself now for the last couple of weeks everywhere I go. Both of my kids had COVID just in the last 2 weeks, and they are both vaccinated. So they weren't in school. I don't think they got it from school, but I know you can. It's highly contagious. This one is highly contagious. So it's kind of a spreader. Kid takes it home. Mom gets it, may not be too sick. Mom goes visit grandma. Grandma gets it. Grandma goes to Walmart, or grandma has something bad and grandma gets really, really ill. And that's where we are facing problems, is the kids may be the ones who take it back to loved ones. And we've talked about this before, and we have been lucky enough to be in situations where we didn't have to mask. And so I do think that it's not a harmful thing. It's not a popular thing. Masks aren't popular, but kids are resilient. They can do it. I live in a mask every single day. I work in healthcare. I'm there. I'm seeing the bad side of it. If you don't see the bad side of it, it's hard to know. So, and I'll stop there before I cry.
Miss Angie, something you had said, alluded to. I don't think masks are the answer.
Right.
But I don't think that they're the problem.
I agree.
I mean, I think that we are at a point where, will it fix our problem? Absolutely not. But I don't think it's going to make it worse.
No.
I think that, in my mind, I hate them. I hate these things so bad. And I'm thankful, and I know sounds horrible, I'm thankful I'm not working at a place that I have to wear one all day long. I'm thankful for that. Because I know how miserable I was with it. So, my heart goes out to all of those. And I think about our staff that are not going to be in favor of this at all. And that, it's not that, but I just feel like if we can make any type of choice to help us for the time being, to just get past, I don't know, you had said something about we may be at a peak through
We're getting
Texas.
close to our peak, so it is
They're
going to
saying
be
within a couple of weeks.
within a couple of weeks
that
we should be within our peak. And that's a good thing. That's what we want. And I don't think any of us on this board or anybody in the district is making this as we're trying to harm people or, punish people. I have nothing but intent for people to be healthy. That's my intent, is to take care of kids. I mean, there's nothing else.
And to keep them in the classroom. We
Yes.
want
my
kids
thing.
going to school. We
Everybody
wanna
I've
be
asked.
able- Everybody that I've talked to, kids in school.
Yes.
The need is, education is definitely a need, but it is so much broader than just them going to school to be educated.
No, I agree. I agree. So this is nothing but concern and love, for me at least. That's,
here.
I have nothing else but that in my thoughts. But I agree with you. I want to keep them in school.
That was one of, listen, I've had several people reach out to me, and I've had those that, of course, are not in favor, and then I've had those that have said, and a friend of mine called me just right before I came, and she goes, I don't know what all you're all going to talk about, but please tell me we're not going to go to virtual. This is
and
what
I've heard
she
that
said to
too.
me. She goes, please do whatever you all can do to keep us in a school building. And this was from a parent with little children. And I couldn't help but laugh. And I was like, if we go virtual, you can bring your kids to me and I'll keep them and teach them.
And
And
this
I'm
may
like,
not
that's
be-
scary.
This may not even work, but it's, a last ditch effort, I think, to keep kids in the classroom.
Man, I just thought we'd go right down
Well, I mean, my concern is morale and the burden on our staff. And, we got one of those emails, and I felt that way before. If you told me masks were 90% effective or whatever, then I think that's an easy call. If you tell me they're 10% effective, I think it's hard to do that extra burden on staff. So that's my concern. I think the masks and moving idea, to me, that has some merit. That may be a middle ground. I guess
I like that.
and I don't want to interrupt the flow of discussion, but I'd love to hear the update. And I guess we'll get there, but just an update from you on where we actually are.
Yeah, let's do that. Miss Carrie, do you care to
But
share
I don't
service
want to
if
cut
that's
them off
okay?
either, so.
You're not, you're good.
So I will say on Friday, I feel like we hit, on Thursday and Friday of last week, I think we hit a really large peak as far as staff illness. Being out of school last week for NTI due to our road conditions did help. We did see some improvement as staff came back today. Having that 5 days, but with the new guidance of 5 days and then coming back 5 days with a mask allowed a lot of staff to return today, but we still, with that, we have 26 staff members out today. And since these numbers were calculated, I've gotten a couple of additional emails from principals saying that people have gotten sick. That's happening in a couple different buildings that they're being tested. But 20 out, we have six bus drivers out. So it's, it is hard. We do have a shortage of substitutes. Not only substitutes teachers, but instructional assistants, food service, bus drivers, so that makes it hard, for us to fill those positions when we do get large numbers of staff out. Students, I have also seen some improvements, but like at Roundstone, there's 6 positive students and 15 in quarantine today. Broadhead, 7 positives, but 36 in quarantine. Mount Vernon, 21 positives and 37 students quarantined. The middle school, 12 positives, 19 in quarantine. The high school, 33 positives, 29 in quarantine. And the academy has 1 positive and 0 in quarantine. So, it is impacting students, it is impacting staff as of right now. And again, whatever you decide, we're gonna support. Our principals are support, our district office is going to support. Our main goal is to keep students and staff safely in school. We need to be in school in person. That's vital. We all know the mental health difficulties that our students are facing, and I think we need to do everything that we possibly can to keep kids coming to school in person every day. We do have 10 remote learning days that were just signed into law by the governor. So we do have that option to close just one school, to close 2 schools at a time. We cannot close the whole district at one time and use those days, but we do have those days. We have 4 NTI days left, which makes me a little bit nervous. I'm sure it does Mr. Hopkins as well. We're not into February yet, and we've already used 6 of those days due to weather. So, you know, we've got to think about all of that. The suggestion that I would make, if the board does decide to reintroduce the mask mandate, is we revisit that at the February 8th board meeting. That's 10 days. We're currently in a peak right now. You know, I think healthcare professionals have said that that peak will drop quickly. You know, so if you vote to do that, if we could revisit that in 10 days at February the 8th and see where we are. Because I know it's important to parents to have that option of what to do with their own children, and I value that.
Sure.
And I value a staff member's choice as well. But 10 days gives us parameters. You know, it gives us a goal to shoot for. If you do in fact vote that direction, then, you know, I would suggest that we put those parameters on it and tell our staff and our community that if we can do this for 10 days while we're in this fight, then we'll come back and revisit that and see where we are and see how it's impacting our schools at that time. And if in fact we have gone down and we're seeing an improvement, then it would go back to being an option. And I do also like your mask, your thought about if you mask when you move. And that gives kids a little bit of a break, and teachers as well, throughout the day.
Well, they can teach and not feel like they have that barrier of communication by having a mask on.
That's one of the things that concerns me.
I do think that's a big deal, and I do think even my son back in the fall, you know, was complaining about headaches and not being able to focus. And I'm not saying the mask was the issue. I'm saying when masks went away, he quit complaining. So I think giving them that break, that's helpful. And I think, of course, this is the worst time of the year to do this, but I think they were doing such a good job in the fall with outside break time. I know today was not the day to do that, but I think any of that we can do regardless is helpful. Now, again, I know that's not possible a lot of these days, but to the extent we can do that, regardless of what we do with masks, I think that ought to be a consideration
So
to the
you all
extent we can.
had asked for me to kind of poll surrounding districts, and in that polling, it's Middlesboro Independent and Bell County that do require masks in schools, but they do have the policy of you mask when you move. So if you're sitting in your desk 3 feet apart, then you can take your mask down. So maybe that might be a consideration,
I like that.
a middle ground.
I like that better. I don't like none of it, but I like that better.
And I do not just, I'm gonna be the person who says it, when we decided to put masks back as optional, we had said that we may have to rescind that. Yeah, and I don't wanna be the one who says that, but we did, and I was afraid that this would happen, as we all were, so I just wanted to make sure that that was clear as well.
Yeah, we were very adamant in stating that when the numbers rise, we would come back to where we are right now.
Yeah, and it'll come down quickly, as you said, and I think going in increments is a really good idea, and will help if morale's down, and again, it's not a punishment, it's just something we have to do, it's safety. But I do like the mask when moving. I
We
think
can
that's
look at this as a short-term initiative.
Sure.
It's not something we're going into for the long term, but if we can look at it for 10 days and then revisit that, and at that point, if we're able, then being able to go back and giving parents and staff option to mask.
Has any, I know they're still doing the clinics on Tuesdays and Fridays at the
for vaccine.
Yes, for vaccine.
Oh yes.
Should maybe we look at having another clinic in our schools, maybe?
Well, and
if kids wanted, like if parents had changed their minds or whatever.
Well, and
'cause
boosters are available now
Like,
too for kids.
my kids need
certain
their
age.
boosters. Well, it's hard for me to get up there during those hours,
Yes.
but
It's a good
I
idea.
mean, if they could,
Mhm.
that may be something we need to revisit in
I
case.
had that discussion last night with Dr. Callie,
Mhm.
and she has offered to come back in and set a clinic up for us, for staff and students as well. So I had actually shared that information with Mr. Reppert today. So he'll be arranging to set that up.
Great.
And we can use the middle school again like we did.
That's great. And to clarify, I think this will be for in school only, during school hours, Matt. Are we agreeable to that? Not at outside events?
I'm agreeable with that, but I think that we need to take some type of an initiative. And I know this sounds kind of crazy, and maybe I thought about the student council, since we have a great student council at the high school. I thought that maybe if we had students posted at the doors to just say, you know, have masks there available, and just say, we would,
Would you just even ask
would you
them?
just, if you would think about, we would appreciate it. Just, it's not trying to take anyone's rights, but a lot of time, I do think that, when you're closed up in a closed-in setting, I think we should take an initiative to just encourage it, encourage it.
At least for right now.
For right now, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe just
Um,
have them offer. I don't know that I would have them suggest it, because it's a kid. I
Yeah,
would be
but-
fearful of that.
Yeah.
Some people are
But
not very nice.
encourage it. I think that, that's the thing, because we had talked about right prior to the meeting. I know children that are coming to school whose parents are positive at home with COVID right now. And they were at school today. I know that for a fact because I asked my daughter, okay. So, I'm not so sure that we can prevent, we cannot do any type of preventing, but if we, I for one may not like chocolate candy, which that's such, but if Marcus is there or his child is there and encouraging me to get a Chips Ahoy cookie, I'm like, okay, I'm like, or whatever. It just, you gotta sometimes put
And an interesting thing was posed to me too, because a lot of children are coming back 5 days and they need to mask. And if we make it just universal masking, then those kids are more likely to abide by that and not feel bad by that.
I was thinking that same thing. Those
Yeah.
kids kind of feel like they're the outcast, and
Yeah.
whether we want to admit it or not, kids are making fun of the kids that are wearing them,
And they will.
and
Yeah.
that's just so those kids, I'm like you, will probably be more apt to wear them.
Do you want to chime in? Do you have
Sure. First, I want to say that whatever decision I know as a board, I can't look at Angie or I'll cry. I cry. You all know me. I
Straight
cry. I'm
away.
a softie. So this is hard for me. I want y'all to know that. I have the utmost respect for this board. I'm gonna get it together. Hold on. Let me get it
Get your drink
together.
of water.
Let
Come
me
on.
get it together.
You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
So I never want you all to think that I don't respect you, Angie, and your
Oh,
field.
no, I know that.
So,
It would not be a board if we all had
Sure.
the same thoughts.
so, I would want the public to know that whatever is decided, this board has the kids' best interest at heart. Whether we agree or we disagree, I know how much each one of you guys want to protect kids, and this is hard. This is a hard position to be in, because no matter what we choose, we're not gonna make somebody happy, So I have a dual perspective. We talked a little bit before, a couple of us. I always try to understand whatever situation it is, how each person, how they feel, what they're thinking, So I get it. I get the whole medical side. I can't imagine what you guys are going through. I understand that, hey, if it ain't gonna hurt, why not wear a mask, but I also, we're flooded today with parents, who don't want this for their child. So I am just gonna post some thoughts for everybody to think about. As I look at this dual perspective and, weigh this out, I really like the way the conversation was going with the moving mask. So I guess a question, and we can come back to this, but if masking is all over, is it gonna change the quarantine at all? I think these are questions that people have. You know, I was asking Brandon about his N95 mask. I was like, you know, I'm more confident in those than what the kids have to wear, you know, and but we're not gonna be able to get all those, you know, so, and I know that there's thoughts out there, you know, if they don't work, why make kids wear them? If we're not sure that they work, you know, two of the reasons why we wanted to go back to parent choice, one was the mental health of our kids, you know, and seeing the smiles and all of that. Another was like accountability, like we put out there masked kids, but then we weren't doing that all the time either, you know. So those are just some things to think about. I like the idea of having, like, if this was the plan, like I think parents would be like, how long is this gonna last? Because what if we don't get out of the red? You know, what if we don't? What if this continues? What is this gonna look like if our kids are having to continue to wear this? And I'll just be honest. Now, I'm in school, y'all know that. So I've been studying history, and right now I'm in a legal class. So I've been studying the Constitution, okay? So now you've got the medical eyes, right? So like this is kind of where my eyes are right now and what I hear. And I'm having a hard time finding a statute or a law that we have the right to put this force on a child that their parent don't want that. So that's just some things that I've been thinking about. Please hear my heart. Please hear my heart. I know that there's been devastation. I know that there's been death. I know that, gosh, this is hard. This is so hard. That is why it's so hard for me to even say what I'm saying, is because I know that there's emotion tied to this decision, you know, but I always go back. We have to make a decision based on facts and not feelings. And I'm not convinced that these cloth masks on these kids are going to prevent. Now, I will not be the one to say the V word that you all just were talking about for kids, you know, if we have to do virtual or something. But if we're looking at really protecting people, you know, I feel like if kids are in a classroom, if there's somebody with COVID in there, whether they have the cloth mask on or not, they're going to be infected in that class. Now, I don't have the data, you know, to back that up. I don't. That's just a personal opinion. So I just want you all to hear my heart that I see both sides, and I get it both ways, and no matter what we choose, it's going to be hard. But I just had to speak my heart on those things.
I appreciate you speaking there. Yeah.
You know that's hard for me.
No, I appreciate that, and everything that. Do you know why it's hard? I'm going to tell you why it's hard. Because everyone on this board has those same feelings. I mean, it's not that we are in disagreement with. It's just, you know, I understand how you feel the way you do.
And I also want to point out that, you know, it might be my communications background, but I feel like sometimes it's hard for us sitting here. Like we're strong, opinionated people, right? We know what we believe in. We have our own. But how can we make a decision without hearing from the staff and hearing from the parents? Like, you know, I want to talk. I would like to hear from some teachers that they've got their kids in the classroom and they know what's best for them. Or, you know, I know that you said there was some teachers with masks on that are supporting it. Like, that's important to me to hear, because I'm not the one. I mean, they smother me, okay? And I will, if it's mandated, I will put one on. I can be completely respected. I can. But if I have the option, I'm probably not. You guys, that's just me. If I have the option, probably not. But, you know, I'm not standing in the classroom. You know, my kids are not, like, I don't have a small child in one of these schools. So it's important to me to hear their voice. And I think they have a right to do that. Before we make a decision and we put our opinion, I feel like that the staff and parents should have, they should be heard. That's what this is about. We represent them.
and I would come back and say this to that. Can I read something to you? Sure. Okay. As far as hearing from parents, I got a message right before I left the house, and I'll read this and make this very fast. This is what I got. She's a grandmother who's raising her granddaughter, and her mother lives with her, so she's got an elderly person in the home.
Sure.
And she asked me about it yesterday. She's had COVID, okay, and she understands how sick she got, but she goes, I may keep this child home and wait, hoping for a mask. Not that it's the answer, but it's a good idea. And then I go on down, I'll read this to you. She goes, please, this is what she wrote me right before I came in. Please push for masks for just a little while. People are sending their kids to school while the parents are positive at home. I know this because, and this is a totally separate situation from what I was talking about today. I know this because my granddaughter ate breakfast unmasked with her friend, and her friend was telling her that her mother was very sick and at home with COVID. Not the child's fault. However, why would a parent not quarantine that child as well? And now I have to worry about her granddaughter. I will say that. On the opposite side, I had a message early this morning from someone that's against. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Everybody.
And I will say it is optional right now. Like they can
Right.
choose to mask. You know, right? I mean, it's not a
Yes,
not
yes.
I think
currently.
it's hard too to think about, and there's just so much uncertainty, and I don't think that we'll have the answers either way. But you know, if they're masked and then they go to eat and they take their mask off, they're still around the kids. If you know, if they're masked in school, but then half the school is at a ball game and they have the option they don't wear it, they're still gonna get it and then bring it back. You know, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I just feel like it's, and I know you guys don't have an answer either. And I hope people realize that, like, we're putting our heads together and trying to do what's best, but there's just a lot of uncertainties
I would like
with
to.
it.
I'd like to ask Miss Carrie. Misty had said stuff about our staff. Have you had staff members reach out to you? Probably
Yes.
from both sides, I'm sure.
Exactly. I think it's very similar to what you're seeing as parents. I have been contacted today, received several emails from staff members, and it has been both sides. And I can't say that it's leaning more towards one way or the other. People are passionate about their beliefs. You know, I respect that and I understand that. And I think that's, again, I just go back to if in fact we decide to, the board votes and decides to move forward, that I think it's very important that we put parameters around it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also important that if we do decide to go this way, that we don't stop the contact tracing. I think that that's something that we still need to continue. I feel like if we don't, we're not gonna see a decline in our numbers.
And does it change the quarantine? I mean, I should know
It does
this,
not
but
change the quarantine
Okay.
at all.
Just answer
It
some of your
does
questions.
change, it changes the contact tracing.
that's all.
The Team Kentucky guidance that was sent out from KDE states that if we are a school district that requires universal masking, that we no longer have to contact trace exposures within school.
And was that prior to as well?
No, this
This is
was
new.
within the
Completely.
new guidance.
Okay,
This
thank you.
changed with the 5-day
Okay.
change.
Okay.
So that's,
And we can still keep the test to stay.
yes,
I
test to
think,
stay is
I think
vital.
if we do all of those, we have to succeed.
I was going to ask, are we is that
Yes,
being utilized?
Yes, it's been utilized. It's very successful. It is working to keep kids in school.
And it's accurate. It's fairly accurate. I know at least for me it was from mine because it confirmed it with the PCR test. So I mean, I think it's a successful test.
I think today we had 20. We had one positive out of those 20. Some staff, some students. The only thing I would say, Anna, about contact tracing, we're at the level of community spread. I mean, I think that's evident. And contact tracing is very difficult. And the reason that KDE put and the Kentucky Department of Public Health put that in there about You don't have to contact trace if you've got masks, because if you're within, it's 3 feet at this point with a mask on, so if everybody's got a mask on, then you don't have to contact trace, because that's the guidance. That is, and that has been very burdensome. I'm not suggesting that, but it's been very burdensome on our principals and our nurses, who are not really trained to do that. To try to run down all those students that's the potential positive student was in contact with. Now, I'll say that we've not had as many over the last little bit because our quarantine numbers, again, we've not been in school a lot lately, so I do expect them to go up probably this week, because it's obviously this week is we're around more students. But it is very burdensome, and well, that's probably all I need to say about it. But it is a difficult process trying to find out who all the students come in contact with. And I think that's why they put that in the guidance, to make it easier on schools, because it is at the level of community spread. If everybody's got a mask on, then you shouldn't have to necessarily do that.
And that's
to
true.
the level that you
Yeah.
did before, I should say.
And I realize it's hard, and I realize it's not perfect. But for us to sit here and say that we have to reinstate this is not easy.
Mhm.
Believe me. I have sat and cried today. Like, this is not a decision I'm gonna reach easy. So if we're saying that we're gonna come back and visit it for 3 weeks, and we have amazing staff, we do. Can we just not continue to do that for 3 more weeks, and let's see where our numbers get?
It'll actually be 10 school days.
10 school days.
So it'll be
2
2
weeks.
weeks.
2 weeks from tomorrow,
2
right?
weeks, yes.
Tell me, what do you think the goal will be with contact tracing? I'm just curious, as far as just positivity
Well,
rates.
that way, like, they could at least do the test to stay.
Mhm.
They would have more.
Are you successful with that on test to stay and contact tracing? Do those go together? Or are people choosing just to stay 10 days out?
Well, this has changed. This new guidance has changed everything, because it is, when we say 5 days, really we should say 6 days, because it is it's 5 days of isolation. You can't come back on day 5. It's 5 days of isolation, so it's really day 6. But that's changed where we're at, because if a student tests positive on Thursday, then potentially, Tuesday? So that takes that away. And let me say this too, if a student has a positive in the household, they can't do test to stay.
I know, so that gets,
So
that's
that
why I
has,
wanted
that
this,
has,
'cause it gets
that
confusing.
eliminates a lot of people.
Okay, so,
Well, it's
Okay.
also confusing
And
that
that's-
you're
and-
saying that
Tuesday.
if you show no symptoms, you're out of
And they
quarantine
don't
in
know
5
about
days, but if you have symptoms, you're out in 10, you're still positive.
Yeah, and you have to, if you're quarantined, you have to test to come back, is what the new guidance says on day 6.
So I
it
just
is.
wasn't really, I know it's a helpful thing, but I don't, I don't think in the public we're doing as much contact tracing now. And I know that's because we're not as close, so I don't know if it would be as efficacious in the school system at this point, to do it. Am I speaking wrong?
I think you're right, and again, the positive in the household, I mean, we've had, most of our cases have been positive in the household. We've had multiple
Yes.
people in the household, because it's so contagious.
Right,
So those people can't do test to stay.
Right.
They have to wait until that
Okay,
6 day
so
period.
you have a positive in the household and everybody else is vaccinated.
they should be able, no symptoms, they should
Yes.
go about
They
their
don't
daily
have to
life.
do anything.
See,
as
there's
long as
so
they're
many
vaccinated.
stipulations.
And that's,
There's no way for no one.
it is what
Well,
it
and
is.
personally, I was called from, our
Yeah.
local health department because my daughter was positive. And of course, they did the right thing, contact tracing at the school, but they called me and telling me what we need to do. And I had to say, but vaccinated patient, I'm vaccinated. Oh yeah, well, it's this. So we just don't get all the pieces of the puzzle, I don't think, every time. And it's hard, but it's something we have to be diligent about in our role, your all's role, and the health department,
Or if
and the
you-
medical community.
And if you've had COVID in the past 90 days.
I
That's
heard-
another,
and
that's
that's-
another,
Throws
And-
another
Caveat.
wrench into
and
it.
you know what, and I have several friends that have had COVID twice in the last
Yeah,
90 days.
And it can happen, yeah,
That's happening, I think, more and more.
which puts another wrench into this whole thing we're talking
and
about.
that's the guidance, that's
Mhm.
what we go by. I
And it
know it's not
changes.
perfect, but that's what we have to
Yeah.
stick to.
And let me be clear, is KDE a little different than CDC? Correct? A little tighter?
I
feel like
think
it's a
with
little
the
tighter.
update, it matches.
Not a whole
Okay,
lot.
okay.
Prior to, I think there were some
So it's
differences.
the 5 day,
but with
5
the
day, and
update,
then,
Yes.
okay.
The difference might be in vaccination status with booster. That might be the only
Just that,
difference.
nothing major
It's
though.
minor.
Nothing major.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Anna, did you?
I don't think, do we need to talk some more?
Well, I mean, what are you all thinking? So no contact tracing?
I don't know that it's gonna do any good. I don't mean that, that's my thought. Because it is so contagious right now.
I don't know. I feel like if we're flipping one thing on and flipping one
I
thing
get it.
off,
So,
now I'm getting like, if we're gonna take
No, I get
what
that.
we've been doing like it's been nothing and completely away, and putting this back on kids, I don't know that I
I agree. I get it.
support that.
I think that we need to ask, I mean, since this is a 2 week, 10 school days, I think that since none of us want to do this, I'm gonna make a recommendation, okay? This is my recommendation. I'm gonna recommend that, we do mask as we move, mask while moving. I'm gonna recommend that we continue our contact tracing for this two
These
school
10
weeks
days.
until our
Yeah.
board meeting. And, I think that in those 10 days, I'm hoping that Miss Carrie's gonna come back to us and we're gonna see a difference. And then, if not, then we can say that we did the very best that we thought we could do at this time. I mean, that's gonna be my recommendation.
Yeah. And what
So
were you
we're gonna
say?
do
I mean-
masking, contact tracing, and test to stay. All three of those will still be implemented, correct?
For 2 weeks
For
from
10
tomorrow.
days.
10 days.
The next 10 days of school.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
on the
I
table,
think,
right?
I think that's more than fair. I think that would, I think that will give us another level of protection for just a very short while. Is that a fix? Absolutely not. It has not been a fix since this has all started.
And it won't be.
And it's
but
not going to
level
be a
protection.
fix. But I mean, I'm gonna go back to my personal opinion. I hate these. I had not been wearing mine. And then because I have had friends they've lost their life. You know, when all this first started, I thought it was a lot of politics involved, and I think that that's what's messed up this entire country. But the last time I checked, Republicans and Democrats are both losing their lives.
I promise from my standpoint, I have nothing political to gain
I mean,
from this.
and
And a lot to lose.
and I just feel that if I cannot be in favor of doing everything that I think we can to protect, then I think it would fall back on my conscience and it would bother me if I did not be in favor of this right now. I just hope that this will help. Maybe slow it down.
could I ask a contract tracing question, just so I understand? Way back, we got a call from middle school, Ben's been exposed. We did the 5 days or whatever. That's still going on, correct? That process?
That has been going on,
Okay.
yes. So typically,
So
you
we'd
know,
be continuing that.
yeah, we would be notified. Here, the difference is, you know, the health department would call and say, or a parent would call and say, this student's positive. Then the principals would be the ones that would run that down. They'd notify us sometimes after the fact, but they would be the ones that would run that down.
Right,
and
right.
try to find all those other students that were within 6 feet, depending on what the guidance was at the time, or 3 feet, and tell those students that they had to quarantine for that amount of time.
Right.
And I feel like this was on our website, on our Facebook page too. Can we just repost this?
Certainly.
Cause it helps me field
Yep.
questions.
It's on our website, and we can put that back up at the top of the website and then
Thank you.
repost as well on Facebook.
And I think it's worth saying to reemphasize with our folks, you know, hand washing and
Yes.
that
Yes.
stuff.
Absolutely.
I've read a few things that say that's more effective than
Me,
this, which
I'm
I don't know if that's
confident
true or not. I
on
don't know. I read so much, but I think that may just be worth reemphasizing.
And probably
Current
staying
folks.
home when you feel bad.
Yeah,
And this is coming from me personally too. If you're fearful of absences, I think that's nothing to, I don't want to say worry about, but you know what I mean. Err on the side of caution if you feel like your child needs to stay home. That needs to be happening.
And all the guidance says asymptomatic. No
Yes.
matter what, no matter positive 6 day 6, you got symptoms, stay home.
And symptoms can include a lot of things: fevers, chills, cough, congestion, belly
Headache.
headache. Yeah. So
Yeah.
sniffles even right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
just in case somebody doesn't know what that means.
And can I say this? This is gonna be on the record. I wish it wasn't. I have one of those almost every day of my life. I would never get out of public. I mean, is that not true?
And that's
I
why I
have to
think
have it
It
almost
give me
every day.
headaches.
Yeah, I know. It's a tough one.
I mean,
Just-
really, I mean, I think about that. I was like, man, I would never get to leave the house if that was.
And we certainly can extend quarantine for those people. You know, we have the right to do that, the school district does, and we've had some questions about that. I had a question just before I came in, I think Ken asked me, if a student is symptomatic on day 6, but it clears up day 7, can they come back? Yes, they can, you know, if they're positive. So absolutely,
Can
that's-
I ask that, the test to stay, is that something that is available all day long? No. Okay, I had a parent that said that they went one afternoon and their child, I guess, and I was like, I don't
Well,
know, I need to ask
We
about
did
that.
last week because we had NTI. What we've told, we have 2 employees from Ethos Labs that's here. It's actually here each day from 7 to 9.
They're great, by the
Uh,
way.
Right, and
Shout out
then,
to them.
and then we have a Rockcastle County Schools employee that sits here and registers and makes sure that obviously represents us, with that, keeps a log of everything. It's 7 to 9 each day. On NTI, we didn't have test to stay because nobody's staying, nobody's coming, right? So, I mean, there's no reason to do it. But we did feel like last week, I asked Miss Ballinger, I guess what was that, Tuesday, we had that conversation, because we knew that there was an increase in our students and cases and staff, we did open that up last Wednesday, I think it was, from 9 to 12 for that 3-hour period for folks to come by and test. So, you know, we didn't have to do that obviously, but we did that because we wanted to try to give others an opportunity to test during that time where we weren't in person.
Also, we might need to send something out to make people aware that, there's a website that they can go on and get 4 tests for free for
Yes.
their household, or is that per person?
It's
Per household, isn't it?
I did that.
Cause I don't know that everyone is aware of
I
that,
agree.
and they're free.
Yeah.
They're totally free, so we need to, I don't know if that's on our website right now or
It is
not.
but,
And we may could send that out to parents in a mass email. I love these mass emails
I do
that
too,
we
I agree
get.
with you.
I think they're so fabulous.
That's really good.
Miss Carrie, as far as the recommendation I made, would that be something that you think would be all right for a couple weeks?
I do, I think it's just, again, I think it's important that we just put parameters on this, that so our families and our staff understand that this is not something that is going to be in place, for the remainder of the semester, that this is just a short-term solution.
And to be honest, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I don't think we can go by the red orange status anymore on school districts. I don't know. That's my personal
We
opinion.
have so few people in our
Yeah.
community that 171%.
I think we need to follow the trends.
Yes.
I think what we did last time, we followed the trends, and I think that will be
And,
my thought.
and again, I understand, I'm very much the same as Misty as far as seeing
I think we all
this.
are.
I just feel like keeping kids in school right now is vital. And if we continue to experience high number of staff positives and quarantines, it's gonna pose a real difficulty on us to be able to stay in school. And everybody, no matter if you think masks are great or you're against masks, everybody wants our kids in school.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well, it just, when you sit and think about it, if Angie's sick and she has on her mask, and I have on my mask, and she coughs, it has to help if we're both masked.
It does a bit, and it's not foolproof. but-
It's not foolproof, but there has to be some aid with that.
And that may take it from you not getting it and taking it home to your elderly parents, you know, to maybe you did if you had it still, you know, in your nares or something.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, 10 days until our next board meeting. At the next board meeting, we will revisit this. I will report back to you, and I will keep you informed up until those 10 days of the way that we're trending and what our quarantines and positives are looking like for students and staff. Students and staff will be required to wear a mask if they are moving.
I support that.
I like that. I think that might give a little bit of a break while, you know, and as a child, I probably wouldn't move. I mean, I probably wouldn't be moving much.
Let's touch
Might have
about
to worry about
kids
something
and
else later
kids
on.
are up moving in gym. Let's go ahead and touch there.
So they're not, right now, if they're active in gym, they're not required to wear a mask anyway.
Okay.
So that's not,
So if they're up, active, in an activity, in like gym?
Yes, so gym, the requirements already state that if you're involved in physical activity, you do not have to wear a
Okay.
mask. So that won't impact that. But if a student, if someone is in class and they're seated, then they can pull their mask down. But if they get up to go sharpen their pencil, then they would need to mask as they move.
And in the hallways,
Yeah.
between
I
changing
agree.
classes and.
I can support all this.
Yeah, and just to
Misty,
reiterate,
does that help?
I
What do you
think it helps. I have a strong, it might be a personal opinion, just with mandating what other people's children,
and let me touch upon
I
that just a
can
little bit though, like, you know,
Sure.
we mandate what they wear. They can't come in a bathing suit. And I put this along the same lines, cause it can be along the same lines. The teacher can't come in a bathing suit. Now, if you wanna go outside the street, put your bathing suit on, that's great. But to me, that's a little bit where this lies at this moment.
I can see
Just to
that.
put that in perspective, that's what I have to do too, Misty. I have to think about it in all ways.
They're not allowed to, you know,
They have to watch their language.
Yeah, I don't know, I think, you know, when you've got kids, I don't know, just the concerns that we got from parents, you know, but again, I do wanna say, even if I don't support them, what everybody else does, I support that this board and our superintendent has
Oh, yeah.
the best, you know, for kids. I know that that's in the heart, so I don't have to agree with everything,
No.
you know, but stipulations on the mask and move, I think that needs to be detailed a little bit. That's kind of vague, and I don't want that
agree
to
with that.
put
It is
more
vague.
people
I
on,
agree.
more,
I think so too. I think we need
on our
to.
staff to figure that out.
Mhm.
So I think that needs to be established. If we're gonna say that, I think
I
to
agree.
take off pressure from our administration having to
I
put that
think that-
together.
While they're at their seat in the classroom, it's
Or
my
at the
thought.
board or
But
whatever.
does that include teachers? Cause they're moving constantly.
I think if they're like behind their desk, they're away from their students, they're up projecting.
Do you wanna do more of a 3-foot rule? Would that kind of go in?
That's supposed to be in effect already.
But if a mask, you can
I'd
remove your
suggest-
mask if you're.
I'd suggest the parameter on the mask to move be anytime, for students, anytime except when you're seated
I agree.
at your desk, eating, or in PE, active in PE. And
I agree.
I think that's easy. If
Mhm.
I'm seated, I'm not. If I'm moving, I am.
When they're seated eating, they're seated, they can have them removed. I think that covers all of those.
If your feet are moving.
So let me pose
Does
this.
that help? I don't know, cause you're the one.
Let me
you all the
pose
ones gotta
this so
implement it.
you all can make a determination, because at the elementary level, this will come up. A lot of our younger students, you know, they transition from their desk to a carpet area or to the floor. So if they're all seated together on the floor,
They'll need a mask.
they would, you know,
Because
we
they
just
would
need
not
to
be
clarify
within
that,
their
because they
space.
And
wouldn't
maybe for 10
necessarily be
days,
moving.
maybe for 10 days, they don't wanna gather on the carpet. It's 10 days. Let's see where we get to.
You brought that up, so I'll go down the road. I talked back in the fall to a preschool teacher who just was pulling their hair out, and they said the kids trade masks.
There's snot on
you
that
know,
mask.
Is there I know we don't wanna exempt anybody, but I think about preschool and I think about kindergarten. Any thoughts? I'm not suggesting what we do. I know it's easier to make it for everybody, but I just wonder if preschoolers are trading masks, if we accomplish anything. But I don't know. I'm
It
not.
would be
That was the
better
rule
to
last year.
exempt. Preschool was exempt last
Okay.
year in the statewide guidance.
Okay, so
So
I would support,
you're on that
I would
right
support
path there.
exempting preschool,
But
We
they're
would
not
need to discuss
currently.
kindergarten.
but they're not
Cause it's
currently.
2 and under, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And that was this school year, but when we started masking, it was preschool on up, in the fall would have been.
Okay, sure.
And I know yes, I know.
But that is definitely, this board can determine who you want to mask, when you want them to mask, and how you want them to mask. You have that parameter to do that.
And listen, this is,
And I'm very open
no
to
child's
thoughts. I
gonna
don't.
like it.
No, I agree.
No, No
And the-
adult's gonna
We don't like it.
No, I don't like it.
But, I mean, children are resilient,
Yeah.
more so than we are.
Oh, yeah.
Look at us, we're sitting here complaining about it, and I dare say most of our
I just-
children won't complain at all.
I just fear if we go, and I know preschool should be, but if we do that, it's kind of a slippery slope as far as, well, what about kindergarten?
So if
And then
we
what about
take
our
out-
special needs kid? You know, just it's a slippery slope, unfortunately.
So if we take out preschool and kindergarten, does that cover the rug time? Is that the only two?
It's all the way to fifth grade.
Is it all the way to fifth grade?
I mean,
Well, so
my
then
fourth
if they get
grader
on the
does.
rug, they can just mask?
I think it would be, if you just clarified, you may unmask when you are seated at your desk.
At your
All
desk.
other times you must
I think-
mask than that.
I think that's very
And how long have we been out of masks? It's really not been that long, has
I
it?
think it was December 1st.
Okay. Just to
important.
refresh
It
our
really
memory.
went downhill.
And we were doing it then. They were doing it.
Might have been the 3rd, it was a Friday.
It's not ideal, but I'm gonna tell you, it's not ideal when you got, you know, people
When did
needing
this new
oxygen for
variant
COVID.
Angie, when did this new variant hit?
You know, I can't tell you exactly, but I know as far as nationwide, it was like summer, probably late summer, early fall, and we're always behind. So I'm wanting to think it's just hit us within close to Christmas and now, pretty much now.
That's what I was thinking. I thought it was just an
So,
election.
Maybe not in agreement, but so what we are proposing here, is for 10 days, 10
10 school
instructional days. We are proposing that, we will require a mask when children are moving, but while they are sitting at their desk, they can pull their mask down,
Or eating lunch.
or eating lunch,
Or in PE.
or in PE, yeah.
Which was already, that was
Right.
already there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? What am I forgetting?
I think we need to
Preschool.
discuss.
Teachers can, if they're up and teaching and back away from children, they can remove their mask. That way there's not so much of a hindrance that they're feeling, and maybe kids can understand them fully. Cause I have trouble understanding people in
What
masks.
did you just say?
Yeah, exactly.
Angie, can I ask a medical question?
Sure.
Because in my mind, I'm seeing, I'm just being the devil's advocate for a minute. I'm seeing like a classroom of kids and they're all masked and we're doing the best we can to protect. Now, I'm not against this, so don't think that, but like, I'm just seeing like, here's a classroom and they're all sitting down, but like their masks are down and the teacher's mask is down. That makes no sense to me, just because now I want this for them. That's not what I mean, but like if somebody sneezes or like there's still germs coming
And
out
I
of their
get
mouth.
that, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Sure.
I feel like whatever I just want it to make sense, and I don't think anything will make sense. I think we're just trying to do what we can, and I get that, but that's just,
And that I think
you're gonna get these questions, you
that
know,
was
we're
a
gonna
3
get
feet
these
rule though,
questions.
right? That was
That was
masked
a
to move with the 3 feet.
And their
3
desks
feet?
are 3
3
feet?
feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Three
close.
feet's
I mean,
close, I mean, that's
It's-
close.
Oh, yeah, it's not,
I know, it's, I'm still.
Miss-
And this is the thing about it, I mean, I'm gonna be the devil's advocate for a second, okay? We can sit and pick it apart all day long.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna change, it's not gonna change it. I mean, we are here, we have to make a decision
Sure.
and vote our conscience more than anything, because every one of us we're on both sides of the fence with this. Ain't none of us want the mask. I mean, none of us here want it. But we are chosen by people to represent, and they entrust upon us to vote what we feel is the very best for children and our staff, okay? And I'm gonna say it's something a little bit different. Okay, we can put a child in any setting and they are dependent on their leader. Okay? So every child in this district, we'll take the little small ones, they are dependent on their teacher to lead them. Okay? They are dependent on when they can get up and move from the table. I mean, you know, they are coerced, that's it. But these staff members don't have anybody that they're dependent on in these classrooms, okay? So we are here to speak up for those children right now, is how I feel. yes, I don't want to take any rights away from any parents. I don't want anybody taking my rights away from my child. But I also think about those children that does not have anybody that's going to speak up for them, that is going to care. And we
It can
have,
go both ways.
and I mean, you know what I'm
emotionally
saying?
and
Yes.
medically, yeah.
Yes, so I have, I can sit and I can play this out in every scenario in my head. But at the end of the day, I still have to say, this is the decision I'm gonna make because I feel like I feel this is the only decision that we can make right now. This is the only prevention that we got. I mean, that's my gut, that's how I feel. So with that being said, unless someone has got something very much more that they want to say, I think we need to vote for this, Ms. Carey.
There's one more thing I think we need to clarify
Okay,
before
sure,
voting
sure.
is, athletic events and after-school activities.
Oh, okay.
We need to, because that's important and our districts need to know what to expect.
Okay.
How,
Uh,
is it, is it feasible to require, well, I mean, if we
No.
require the same thing there, once they're in their seat, they're in their seat. I know how enforcing that is in a group of adults, so
It's very difficult.
And so,
I
yeah.
don't wanna add
that's what
to.
I'm asking you. What are
Let
other
me-
districts
right.
doing?
So, in surveying other school districts, the districts that are requiring masking, only out of all those districts, Jackson County is trying to enforce at ball games. The other districts are not. And in discussing this with those superintendents, their rationale has been that it is a requirement to come to school, but it is an option for a community member or for someone to go to an extracurricular event. So if you're not comfortable going there without a mask, then you do not have to attend. That's the
agree.
rationale with that. I do think it will be very, very hard to monitor, when you have people coming from other school districts and students from other school districts. It's very hard to monitor that.
I don't think we should enforce it. I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, I guess, but I mean, I go to work, I have to wear it. I know that, and I have to do it. If I choose not to wear it outside of work, that is my, decision. Like you just said, they have to go to school, it's a requirement, but you don't have to go to a game. I don't have to go to Walmart. So that's my thought on that. Is it ideal? No, it's not, but we can strongly encourage it, and we can be good,
I think that's what we should do.
citizens and
so.
wear our masks should we go to something ourselves, but I don't
And
think
we
you
could
can.
put stuff on the door, we highly encourage everyone to mask up, numbers are high. I mean,
I think so.
and just see where we are in 10 days.
Only one there, yeah, I know.
from a staff
The only
perspective,
person.
it's what we're saying doable.
Is it doable? From what we're saying, is this
At-
gonna be
at
a thing?
athletic events?
No, in schools. I'm just
Yeah, I
fearful.
mean, yeah, it is. It does muddy the water.
The teacher thing's what the staff is what I'm worried about, their take on it. It'd be hard for me, I still wouldn't be clear on it myself.
My only thought process, yes, it muddies the water, okay? But if our numbers, if, say we don't do anything, okay? And we have 25 more staff members that get sick tomorrow.
Then we're shut
We're
down.
on virtual, guys.
TRF.
We're
And
TRI.
I don't.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's my thought, because
No,
I don't
I-
want these at all. I promise you, the minute I walk out that door, probably get away from you all, this is gonna come down. I mean,
Then at that point, we're gonna have to decide, are we better to go virtual, or are we better just to send our kids home, get healthy, and add the days on at the end of the year?
I mean, essentially, this is a compromise. We all know it. It's a compromise.
It is a
It's,
compromise.
and I, is it gonna be difficult? It's gonna be difficult. It's
Every
gonna
day.
be, I mean, it's not
It's
easy.
all
It's,
difficult.
to have, you talk about dress code. You talk about it's hard. I mean, as
Yeah,
a former
it is.
principal, it was so difficult because teachers' standards are all over the place.
Yep.
And it's gonna be that way with this mask. And when you mask move, standards are gonna be, there's gonna be
Yeah.
situations that we're not thinking of, that's gonna put that teacher in a tough position, and the student's gonna say, well, in this class, I'm just
It will
giving
be.
you the reality of where we're at. But this is a compromise, because we know strong opinions on both sides. So, Could we, absolutely, yeah, I mean, is it gonna be consistent? It's gonna be difficult, but
We was talking about athletic events, you know, ball games. Uh, in my opinion, I think that we'll be lucky if we make it through the rest of the season without all of our ball teams being quarantined anyway. Does that make sense?
And that's a
Because of the
possibility.
spread
Yeah.
of it.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, I constantly think like that,
Well,
so.
yeah, things have been rearranged already, I think, in all levels across the state because of that.
So what is your take on the after school? We'll go down the line.
I think if they're in tutoring or if they're doing something within the building that is still a school, like classroom wise, if they're in their seat, they can take them off. I think that should remain the same.
An extracurricular or a ball game, an evening event that is an option.
That is an option, I think. How are we going, I mean,
I think just strongly encourage it.
just
for those.
strongly encourage it right now, and let's see where we are after these 10 days. I mean, hopefully, I'm so hopeful
We better
You
start
and me
fast.
both.
that
promise.
in 10 days, we see a huge difference by doing this other bit.
If not, could you please plan us a meal for our February board meeting?
A comfort meal. We need a comfort meal.
I think I agree with Angie, and I mean, my opinion, I think that we should, it's an option. I mean, you know,
To strongly encourage it,
strongly,
offer
I
masks
do
at the
think we
doors
should
if
strongly
someone,
encourage it
you
by
know.
posting
And
at the
again,
doors.
if you're sick, don't come. Please, I mean, that's from a medical standpoint. If you are sick, don't come to an extracurricular activity. Again, I mean, that's, cause that should be regardless of COVID, you know, just choose to stay home and there'll be another one.
So at the February 8th board meeting, we will make certain that this is on the agenda,
Absolutely.
and we will revisit at that time and looking at using data, local school district data to make our determination.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read it again, what we're doing, just so we have it clear? I know that's awful, but
I
just so
don't
we
want
have it
this to be an added burden on you guys or our staff. I think we really need to make sure that that's clear before, we need to do that for them, you know what I mean?
What
clear.
do
The
you
mask to
mean?
move, the moving or mask to
The
moving.
mask to move.
Yeah, is it in their seats only? Is that the only time that they can?
I
think
think it needs
so.
to be very clear.
It needs
cut
to
and
be
dry.
very
They are
Like,
sitting in their seats.
you are
They-
sitting at
Do any
your
other places have
desk.
it?
Do
At
all
your desk.
classes have desks? Like every
Some
student?
some classrooms have tables.
Okay, and does that apply to them too?
Yes.
I mean,
That's
we're at a
Yeah,
table.
you have to.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, I think that needs
I
to
think
be
that,
specified.
like how we are, we would be okay.
you're 3 feet apart.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if anybody has stuff online.
You know.
Well,
We would be
that's
fine.
Just make that real clear, so they don't
Well-
have that extra burden on them.
I agree. I think it needs to be.
Mhm.
So anytime a student is seated at a desk or at a table, they may remove their mask. But if they get up to move anywhere beyond their seat or their desk or their table, then they must put their mask back on.
Mhm.
What district is doing this again? I forgot.
Bell County.
Bell and Middlesboro both
Middlesboro.
mask.
Have you talked to them? Did they say it was successful for them? Like,
It's difficult to monitor.
is it?
And you also have to go back to think about your younger students. You know, are you losing instruction time?
Would you recommend us not do that? I mean, no, I mean, the only reason, the only reason I would think that would give them a little bit, because we're going from, you know, we're throwing it back at them again.
Not necessarily. I think as long as we're clear in setting those parameters, I think that's fine. I just think it's, you know, it is subjective,
Sure.
and it is gonna pose some difficulties, but it also gives students and staff members a little bit of a break
Mhm.
during the day, and I think it is, like Mr. Ruppert said, I think it's a compromise.
I agree.
Do you wanna make a motion?
So that is what we're putting on the table, okay? It is, the motion that's on the table is that we do require masks until at least the February 8th board meeting, which is when we will revisit this, with a mask to move. What? Mask when moving. It is going to be an optional, but strongly encouraged at any extracurricular activities. And I would like to add in there that we would really, I personally, and I think this entire board would appreciate our general public to do everything that they can to keep our children safe and our staff, to make that extra effort, whatever that is for you. So that is the motion on the tables.
And we will continue to contact trace
Yes, and we will continue to contact trace
and continue test to stay.
and continue test to stay. So, with that being said, need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
This will be my first no vote.
Oh, there you go.
It's all right. We've all had some.
Misty voted against that.
Love and respect to all, I hope y'all know that.
And I want,
Absolutely.
and you say that, I would love for like you said, the public to have love and respect for all, and kind of just the comments that we do receive
On both sides.
socially, social media, know that this is nothing harsh against anybody. So just know that when you're
Absolutely.
choosing words.
So we will work, to get this, I guess I should say, do you want this implemented tomorrow?
Is that doable, or would you rather do it Wednesday?
I would think Wednesday, maybe, or, I mean, most people will know probably, but I'm just wondering about children, will they be bringing masks to
That's
school,
right.
I'm assuming
If they're
not.
riding a bus, they're still
have a mask,
masking,
yes.
correct?
That's, yeah, your staff is, they've not gotta break it off,
Other
have they?
than the contact tracing part, that would have been helpful.
Mhm.
It's really hard.
We can do whatever you all advise, and we can.
I think most are expecting it tomorrow, just to be honest.
Let's just try to
Is that
get it all
enough
together
notice
so
for
that we
parents
can.
and, or will you all have masks at the door, like if they don't find their mask?
I think they always
We can
do.
provide masks,
Okay.
yes.
I think they've been doing that the whole time, yeah. Even when we was in mass before, I think they probably handed out quite a few. But, I appreciate all of you all very much. Appreciate you, Miss Carrie, and all your staff, and, hopefully, we're gonna pray that numbers will go down and people will get healthier, and, we can get past this. And, with that being said, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, in a second.
Second. All the
Okay.
seconds.